Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Michelle, and this is the Scary October series where we're going to be talking about some scary stuff. And today's topic is going to be about facing our fears. So let's get into it. So 2020 is right around the corner, and we should already be getting in the mindset to start setting up our goals of what we're trying to accomplish next year. And we should start thinking about how we want the next year to go, the kind of life we want to create, whether you have goals of losing weight or you have a goal to start a new business or to actually close down an existing business, or whether you have plans to move to a new city or anything like that. When you go to start creating the life you want, you're going to have fear come up. And fear will tell you things like, you can't do that. There's no way you can reach that goal. You've made this goal before and you failed multiple times. You're not smart enough for that. Who do you think you are to be able to do that? What are people going to say about you if you do that? All of these fearful thoughts and this fear will come up when you start trying to change things in your life. So when fear comes up, it feels very restricting, and it feels like you feel very small and like you can't do anything and like you have to stay in one place and you can't move. That's what fear feels like. It's paralyzing. And fear is like trying to keep you in the same place where you're at, and it's trying to keep you comfortable. And while you may be comfortable for a little while, you're going to have that, that want and that desire to change something about yourself come back up. So that comfort is only temporary. And so when we go to create the life we want, we don't want to make our decisions based off of fear. We don't want to let fear run the show and control anything. We want to make decisions based off of love. And the way love feels is love feels expansive, and love feels open, and love feels like you're evolving. Making decisions with love leads to happiness and more satisfaction, longer lasting satisfaction and comfort than it would if you stayed in your fear. Now, only say longer lasting satisfaction because eventually you're going to get comfortable where you're at once you level up, and then you're going to want to grow and expand some more. So it only lasts for a temporary amount of time also, but at least you're growing and you're building more confidence and things like that. So when we go to start anything new and we go to make changes in our life and the fear comes up, we're going to feel the fear and we're going to do it anyway. And what this action is actually doing is cultivating courage. So let me say something about courage. People who have courage do not have an absence of fear within them. In fact, they feel the same fears that you're feeling and experiencing when you go to make any changes in life. The only difference is they feel the fear and then they go past the fear and they do the thing that they were trying to do anyway. So fear is always present, and fear is never going to go away. Unfortunately, you're going to have to make fear your friend. And that's what courageous people do. They befriend the fear, they feel the fear, and then they do what they're going to do anyway. Just like listening to other people's opinions in life, and they try to tell you how to run your life and how to do your life, and you just kind of, go past them, acknowledge them, and then you go do what you're going to do anyway. Courageous people trust that everything's going to go okay. They trust and believe in themselves. They believe that they can handle whatever life throws at them when they're trying to create their reality. They believe that they can reach their goals, and they know and they believe that they have the ability to handle whatever it is that they need to handle. I personally have felt fear many times in my life and had to have courage to move past it. And I found that every time I would feel the fear and I would move past it and do the thing that fear was telling me not to do anyway, I started building more confidence in myself, and I became a more confident person and a more courageous person by doing so. I used to be part of a church where I was part of a trio where we would get up and sing. And I remember being so afraid to get up there in front of those people and perform. But, despite the fear, I would walk up there every time, hold up that microphone, and sing my heart out to the best of my ability. And, that's what it takes to be a courageous person. You feel the fear, and the whole time that you're doing the action, you're feeling the fear, but you're doing it anyway. And that's what superheroes do. You know, superheroes go into battle and you think they're not afraid. Of course they're afraid, but they're doing the actions anyway. There have been many times in my life, especially recently, where I've had to make huge decisions in my life despite the fear, and I had to follow my gut instinct and go beyond the fear and be courageous and step out and trust that everything was going to be okay. And one of those times was I had to leave the church where I had been a member for my whole life, and I had been brought up in this religion that was no longer serving me at the time. And I was very afraid to leave. I was afraid of what everyone at the church would think about me. I was afraid that they would look down upon me. I was afraid of mostly judgment. And so it was very hard for me to make that decision to leave. But I knew it was best for me, and I knew it was the right thing to do. And so I did it. And it was one of the best decisions I ever made in my life. It's one of my things I'm most proud of, because I was 30 years old and I finally got up the courage to leave that church. And there came a time where I had to make the decision to leave the religion altogether. I chose to do that. And that was very frightening, very scary, because my whole identity was wrapped up in this religion. I wasn't anybody outside of this religion, and I had not known anything else but that for 12 years. So imagine having to be stripped totally of your identity and have to kind of build from scratch of who you think you should be as a person. Super scary. And it took a lot of courage, but that's another thing that I'm super proud of that I did. There was a time when I decided to take the leap and start a photography business, knowing little to nothing except how to work a camera and how to take good pictures. I didn't know how to run a business, but every time I learned everything I needed to learn in order to run that business. And I used to be so scared right before a photo session. I would get so nervous, and I would be afraid that I would forget my poses, or I wouldn't get anything good in my camera, or the settings would be wrong. And it always ended. And even though I felt that fear, I would push through, and I went to the photo session anyway, and I put on some confidence, and I trusted myself and my ability, and it always panned out okay. And then I decided to start doing weddings, and that is a whole different ball game. It's a lot more money, and I had fear come up around having to raise my prices and to accept that type of money and the responsibility that went with it. And even though I'd been doing photography for a number of years then, it was still super scary because it was new, and it was a lot more work than I was used to. But, I felt that fear. It came up, and when I felt the fear, I just walked right past it, put on my confidence, and, practice my courage. And, as I kept doing this, things kept becoming easier, and it was easier for me to be courageous. It was easier for me to bypass the fear and just go ahead and start creating the reality I wanted. Then there was a time where I felt like I had to close down the photography business. I got like this nudging inside of me that said, okay, it's time to move on. You've done everything that you need to do here. Let's move on. And it took me a whole year to accept that and to actually take action on that, which I should have closed it down a year earlier. Even though I never lost a penny, I only made money in that business. It was very profitable, but it just wasn't filling me up, and it wasn't lighting me up. And I felt like it was time to move on. And it took me a whole year to kind of make that decision and make that transition. But once I decided and I started taking action, then I got it done. But it was a very fearful thing because I knew I was going to lose money, and I wasn't sure that I was going to be able to, pay the house note, pay the car note, pay the electricity. So I had a lot of fear around the money portion, but it all turned out okay, and we didn't die and nothing went wrong. There are so many other times where I've had fear come up, like when I had to put my kids in public school. I'd homeschooled my kids their whole lives, and I put them in public school, and that was a very scary thing for me to do since I had never been away from my kids like that. And I don't know if that seems weird to you guys, but that was my life for a long time. That has a lot to do with the religious background. It's a long story, but I finally phased out of that. And then it came time to start this coaching business, and there was not a lot of fear around that, but there was a lot of fear around releasing my courses because it was something I made and came from me, and you're always afraid of people judging you. When it came time to start a YouTube channel, that was super scary, and you just got to be courageous, and you just got to keep moving forward. So you feel the fear, and you just keep walking past it, and you do it anyway, despite what people may think about you, despite what people despite their misunderstandings, despite anything, and just know that you're doing what you're called to do, and you're trying to create the life that you're trying to create so that you can be happy, so that you can feel satisfied, so that you can make a contribution to this world, and so that you can make a mark and not just be someone just going through the motions in life. And this can apply to even small things like getting out on the dance floor. I used to be at weddings, and I would want to get on the dance floor so bad, and I just could not bring myself to it because I had a fear of what others would think when they saw my moves. But eventually it got to where I would just jump on the dance floor. And even when I was at weddings one time, I got swooped away onto the dance floor, and I danced my little heart out, and I loved every minute of it. It was great. So it could be even small things where you let fear keep you from doing the things you want to do in life. Don't let fear control you like that. Step out and have fun. So if you're going to keep learning and growing and expanding and experimenting and leveling up in life, then you're going to need to get comfortable with fear, because fear is always part of the creative process. And when you are making the life you want, you are creating. Every time you try to level up, there's fear in your head saying, you can't do that. You're not going to reach that level. Every time you try to step out of your comfort zone, there's fear. It's going to be trying to pull you back, saying, wait, you're not ready. It's not time yet. Fear is not going away. It's always going to be there. As long as you're taking steps to get to the next level and taking actions, fear is always going to be there. Fear is not a sign that you shouldn't move forward. Fear is not a sign that you should stop and wait. Fear is just trying to keep you safe, and it's trying to keep you comfortable, and it's trying to take care of you. So all those things I talked about earlier, I did all those things, and remember, fear was present every single time. So what I'm trying to tell you is, if you know that fear is going to come up, you might as well invite it to the table, to the meeting table, okay? So when fear comes up, acknowledge it, become aware of it, let it even have a seat at your table. But you can't let fear make the decisions, and you can't let fear control you, and you can't let fear have a say-so. So basically, I just wanted to encourage you to invite fear in, since you know it's going to come up anyway, and it's always going to be there every time you try to level up. Just make sure that you have courage, you practice courage, and you move past the fear. You can hear the fear, you can acknowledge the fear and let it say its piece, but you don't have to follow what fear is telling you to do. You want to follow what love is telling you to do. And love also always wants you to expand and to be more open and to be happy. And fear wants to keep you stuck, and it wants to keep you retracted and constrained and in the place that you're in. So you always want to go for the expansion rather than the retraction. And as you do this, every time you bypass fear and use courage, you're going to create more confidence in yourself, and you're going to become a more confident person. And it's going to get easier for you to take the next step and move to the next level every time you want to level up. You'll say to yourself, I'm confident I can do this. I've done this, this, and this. I made it through. I didn't die. Nothing bad happened. And it just gives you confidence, and you become a more confident person. Everyone deserves to create the reality that they want. Everybody deserves to reach their goals in life. Everybody deserves to work in the career they want to have. Everybody deserves to feel the way they want to feel every day. And we shouldn't let fear control us like that. We shouldn't let fear keep us from this happiness and keep us from this satisfaction, and to keep us from stepping out and making the choices and the decisions and taking the action that we need to take in order to make this reality the reality that we've always dreamed of. That's all I have for you guys today. I hope you have enjoyed this. Let me know by commenting below if you like this. And tune in next week because it's the last installment of Scary October. And I'll see you guys then. Bye-bye.